Yay.
Hi.
Are we live?
We're live.
Woo!
Happy Wednesday.
And look, we're close.
Yeah, we're close. We're trying something new this week.
Melissa, are you proud of us?
Cheers, Melissa.
We Jimmy rigged it up so that you don't have to be taping us. How exciting is that?
Yeah. And happy Wisdom Women in Wine
Wednesday, 4:30. It's a beautiful day here in Sonoma, and we're coming to you from some place that we're learning more about and wanted to share with you all, called The Panel. We're going to bring Chad in here in a minute, which is on West Napa, across from Chevron, which is next to Sonoma Market. Diagonally across from Sonoma Market is the actual panel. And we're going to bring Chad in to tell us what the panel's all about.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You know it. We'll get to our power of no
And
in a
look
minute.
at our cool wall behind us.
Tell them about the wall.
The wall is cool. When we actually did the remodel in this space, we put down some brand new hardwoods, but when we ripped up the old carpet, there was this wall, or some of the hardwoods were salvageable, so we just reused them and put them out there.
So innovative, cool, and creative.
And they actually
Loved it.
say like Sonoma hardwood and
Yeah, it's
really
actually the Mission Lumber Company.
Yep.
I guess used to be down on Broadway, and it's stamped Sonoma, California, so it's pretty
Nice.
cool.
super cool. Okay,
Nice.
so your business is called The Panel.
Hi,
Yeah.
Melissa.
It's about a mile, fair enough, a mile and a half west of the Sonoma Plaza.
Yeah, we're just under a mile off the Sonoma Plaza, and what we are is we've got a small retail component, but our primary focus really is on our wine club. It's like a membership-based thing, but what differentiates us from the rest of them is that we go through and research and taste through hundreds of wines every month.
Oh, tough job.
Yeah.
Cheers to that. Somebody has to do it.
Cheers.
You and Wendy may
Yeah.
as well be those.
And then what we do from there is we narrow it down to about 12 of the best wines that we find. And then we bring in a different group every month of sommeliers, winemakers. We're very fortunate to live in Sonoma and have access to all these amazing, talented people. So we do that, and they come in, they blind taste the wines, and the top 3 wines from each blind tasting goes out to our members.
And it's lovely. I wish we could pan
know.
around.
We will at the end.
Panorama, yeah, we will at the end. But it's literally like being in the comfort of your own home with just awesome decor and really cozy seats and couches and beautiful orchid, and the wine room's pretty spectacular as well. And the plethora of knowledge and passion that Wendy and Chad have around wine.
It's a unique experience,
And the industry
for sure.
is a very heightened experience.
Well, thank
come
you.
So
check
who
them
are your
out.
target customers?
Us.
Wine
Besides
lovers.
Piper and I.
And anybody who loves wine.
Anybody
come
who
on,
loves
come
wine.
on,
Yes.
come on down. If you want to learn a lot about wines and wines from around the world, then this is kind of what we're doing here. I mean, we're not just picking out wines because they're discounted. We're picking up wines strictly based on the quality and how amazing they are.
And from all over the world, and Sonoma, of course.
Yep.
Right on. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for
Well, thank
allowing
you
us
for-
to be
yeah,
here. We're going to have our
absolutely.
little
Cheers to these ladies. They're amazing.
chin
so,
chin.
Oh, thanks.
So enjoy. Thank
Right
you.
on.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to the conversation. And Chad, if you want to chime in at any point, we would love a male's perspective on
Seriously.
the topic of the power of no. What did that
Wow.
mean to you when we talked about that?
Well, we've talked about this
A
so
lot.
much. It's so interesting how much this comes up in our lives. People ask us about it. What do you know about it? Do you have resources? Do you have articles?
Are
How
you
do
ever going to
say
have a
no?
seminar about it?
I think a lot of us, especially women, really struggle with how to say no, when to say no, and it faces us every day. And instead of looking at it as a challenge, let's talk about
And
what
looking
does
at it
mean?
as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I want to give a shout out to Talasi, who's spoken at
Aw,
two
we love
G3
you,
conferences.
Talasi.
About a year and a half ago, I went to a seminar in the backyard of a friend, Heidi, where Talasi spent about 6 hours talking about the power of no. And my takeaways from that conversation was, first and foremost, and why don't we just go through a few of them, is usually behind every no that doesn't feel right or at first feels weird is a yes opportunity that you have made room to appear in your life
Yes.
because you had the guts
Created the space.
to say no.
Totally.
So I think it's also important to slow down and really think about that. Like, how many things are you saying yes to that you don't want to? That therefore you are blocking the yeses and the time and the room for the things you do want to bring into your life.
Yep.
Number one. Secondly, how do you feel when you say yes to something that you know deep down inside you wish you had the kahunas to say no to? So
Yeah, in the gut. I feel it in the gut for sure. And I feel the anxiety all day long. And I think there's so much when I have the ability and capacity to say no, how good that feels. And sometimes I often have regret at the beginning, like, oh, I shouldn't have said no, I should do that, or I want to be doing that, or I feel bad that I'm not doing that. But for me, when I actually sit with it and say, wow, that was really powerful for me, because I'm claiming what I need to be doing right now to support me in my life, support my family, support my career, support my friends.
And what good are you when you say yes to somebody that deep down inside you want to say no, and how you're going to show up is not going to be all you.
Totally.
all
And they talk
authentically
about
you.
this thing, breadth versus depth, right? And a lot of us as women like to create the breadth in our lives because we're yes people and we want to support our family, our friends, our kids, our job, our community.
All the hats
live
we
in,
wear.
all
That's
the
what we talk
hats.
about all the time.
And we say yes, but then we're just giving pieces of ourselves to all of that versus really figuring out, as you said in your life, like creating the spaces for what you want to be showing up and really dedicating yourself to that and being fully in that space.
Yep.
Like, yes, son, I'm going to sit down and help you with your Pokemon cards, even though they drive me absolutely nuts. But I am going to do that, and I'm going to be fully present versus just saying no, 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 no,
Yep.
and not saying it for the right reason.
Exactly. And I think that's where the fine line comes in, is all those things we want to say no to and we don't. But what about all those things we want to say yes to and we don't? And really just understanding physically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually how it makes you feel when you're saying yes to something and you want to say no, and when you're saying no to something and you want to say yes. So it's the power of no, it's the power of yes. It's the power of following your gut. It's the power of following your heart. And it's the power of really tuning in to what makes you chime and what you want to be creating in your life to have you show up, leveraging your best self from the inside out and allowing time and space for all that magic. Really, truly, when you slow down long enough.
It is. And I think sometimes it's hard for us to slow down. And a great exercise that someone's once shared with me is at the end of a day when you're feeling really taxed and you feel like maybe I said yes to too many things in my life this week or today, is just sit down and write a list. Sit down and write a list of all the things you said yes to. And then circle the things that really matter, that really meant a lot to you, that you really wanted to commit to. And then look back at that list and just take an assessment for yourself. And what do you learn, or what can you
came
carry
of it?
forward? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes just actually the physical act of writing can be so powerful. Because we have the little voices in our heads when we just think that cluster everything up.
I also believe that as women, as humans, but as women in particular, we feel like we're being pulled in so many different directions, and that the minute we slow down, the minute we stop being busy, we don't feel like we're being we're not, what do I want to say? We're not being effective enough. We're not being helpful enough. Like there's something about feeling like we're not being good enough if we're not wearing our 52 hats and running in 52 different directions. And usually what I find, and I have a really hard time saying no, as you know.
I do know.
Yes. And yeah, we both do. Yeah. So usually what I find is in that uncomfortable space is when something else emerges, and I need to embrace that more.
And be okay with being uncomfortable, right? I mean, I think that's really hard too, is it's hard for us to get outside of our comfort zone sometimes and to be in that unknown territory. But that is, as you just said, where that growth comes and where you allow the space for some really cool things, that magic to manifest. So we just encourage you. We encourage you to
play around with it.
Yeah.
I love it. What's Lizzie saying? Hi, Liz.
She says, let them know you appreciate it.
Aw, we do. We appreciate you, actually, a lot. A few people are on here right now that we could not do what we do without. So thank you so much. But we're doing this alone today.
Yes. And
so
this is a breakthrough for us.
I know, the huge breakthrough that we actually have a tripod set up and we don't have somebody here sort of fostering every little step we're making. So one question for you. What have you said no to in the last week that you're super uber proud of yourself, and how can we celebrate that?
Really good question. Gosh, I wish you would have prompted me with that.
It's better than not.
I think I said no to committing to something, a volunteer, something that I wanted and thought I should be doing, but I needed to do something for my own health and wellness.
Yeah, ditto. Same
about
thing.
you?
I got asked to do something at the girls' school, and I really, really, really want to be there, but I can't.
Yeah.
And I need to be okay with not being able to be there. And I'll show up in another way and help some, one else or something else that will turn around and be, just as awesome. But it felt really weird saying no. And I know a lot of us with kids have a hard time saying no to our kids, or have a hard time saying no to our significant others. So it's also embracing, that feeling of guilt and how uncomfortable it feels to feel like, what's guilt what's that all about?
Yeah.
Who's that serving?
Nobody.
No one.
Yep.
No one. And I think
with
saying
no
no to
guilt.
others is really tough. But what about how many times we need to learn how to say no to ourselves?
Yeah.
Right?
So I think that's something we leave you with, is to really think about that question. I think that's an awesome question. Is what have you said no to this week, and how did it make you feel? Sit with it and own
and
it.
the why behind it, and how are you going to try and do that again if it felt right, and really sort of get out of your comfort zone, get out of your own way. As a lot of lovely people we adore say, get out of your own way and make space for the things that are really, really, really going to make a difference in your life. G3 adores you. We could not do what we do without you, and we can't wait to have you tune in next week for the Wisdom Women in Wine Facebook Live. It's going to be summer, officially June next week when we chime in. Happy Memorial Day. Be safe. Check out the panel on West Napa when you're in Sonoma, or if you live here and you want to come on by and meet the awesome owners, Chad and Wendy. Thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it.
And here's to saying no when you mean it, yes when you mean it, and making space for all of the magic that wants to come into your life.
Awesome.
Cheers. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.